Happy New Year, 2010, here we come. I'm Rebecca Lindquist with English by the Hour. I hope that all of you had a wonderful holiday. We spent ours in Cancun, Mexico. We got to visit amazing historical sites like Chichen Itza, Tulum, and Isla de Mujeres, which was a lot of fun. In addition to practicing my Spanish, I also got a chance to hear Spanish speakers speaking English and trying to, in some cases, minimize their accents and speak American English clearly and effectively. And that's what I would like to dedicate the first video of 2010 to. That is, helping Spanish speakers speak American English with clarity and confidence. Now, how do you go about doing that? Well, one common area that people ask me about is how do I slow down? Everyone tells me I talk too fast. Now, in some of my other videos, we've talked about this concept, but it's particularly interesting for Spanish speakers who have a musical or a lyrical quality to the speech. So how do you change that quality? Now, many people think it's all about intonation, which is somewhat true, but that doesn't tell you how to make a change, especially a change that will behaviorally last. So how do you go about speaking in a way where everyone can understand you and it doesn't sound like you're speaking too fast? A big challenge for first language Spanish speakers. The first thing you want to do is work the breath. Now, we've talked about the breath in past videos. We're not talking about breathing in general. We are talking about deep diaphragmatic breathing. That is filling with air and exhaling. You'll feel the air on your hand. Air comes out the mouth. So first you need air. Why? Because if you're speaking up here without air, you can talk really fast and that lyrical quality will be very obvious to everyone. So instead we want to slow down with a bit of air. The next thing you want to do is hold the sounds longer. The last word should always be a little bit longer. The last word before you pause. The last content word. And those of you that have watched my videos in the past know the difference between content and function words. Content words are things like nouns, verbs, the words that give what we say substance, the key words. Those words for Spanish speakers, you'll want to stretch or make them a bit longer. And one easy way to stretch them is with a rubber band. So I'm using a thick special band that doesn't hurt the fingers. If you don't have one of these easily available to you or readily available, you can get a packaging band, the ones that you would send mail in, for example, that you would package materials with. You want something thick, not a band that will hurt your fingers. The reason to use the band, notice I'm positioning it between my thumbs, is you'll want to hold the last word a little bit longer. And what this does is it helps to reinforce the length. So for Spanish speakers to slow down, you want to breathe, exhale, group the words, last one longer, stretch with the band. The last word that you're holding longer is always a noun, a verb, an adjective, or an adverb. That will slow you down. That's the most important item that you'll want to change is the length of sounds. That will help you to speak more slowly along with breath and exhaling. But in addition, Spanish speakers also have an issue with the S and Z sounds. And the reason I say an issue is not that you cannot pronounce them, but that it's not always obvious when to use an S, when to use a Z, or when to use a sh sound based on spelling. Now, sometimes a double S will denote an SH sound, but there are times when it's actually a zh sound or something different. So the other suggestion that I always make to Spanish speakers is make sure that you are learning the phonetics of English, the IPA or International Phonetic Alphabet. Otherwise, you're always guessing, is it an S, a Z, or a sh based on spelling. And as you know, American English is not phonetic like Spanish. So a word that's spelled with two S's may be pronounced with a different sound. An example would be the word possess, possession, possessed. Those letters that spell those words are actually not the ones we're pronouncing. Possessed ends in a D but is pronounced with a T. Possess has a Z in the middle even though it's spelled with two S's. And possess has an S at the end even though it's also spelled with two S's. What a contradiction there. Another example would be a word like easy, not easy. Easily, not easily. And easier, not easier. Notice that most Spanish speakers tend to devoice, that is to turn a Z sound into an S sound. They are spelled with S's, but pronounced with Z's. Other common words are words like laser, where that S is actually a Z. Or a word like season. The S at the beginning is a S. The S in the middle is a Z. And back to that word possess. What happens when we add ION? Possession. And then we get a little bit of an SH sound. How would you ever know that? By listening. By being aware of the sounds that you hear, not relying on the spelling, and using a phonetic dictionary. Those are a few suggestions that I would make to Spanish first language speakers. Remember to breathe, exhale as you speak, and use the band to keep the last word longer. I hope these suggestions have been helpful to you, and I look forward to talking to some of you or meeting with you at EnglishByTheHour.com.